Hey guys, Kyle here from the Dime Drop, and I just wanted to recap some of the action and prospect focused talk from last night's game, Kentucky against the Bahamas national teams. I'm recording this in my hotel room, so I'm not going to be able to be as bombastic with the voiceover, and I'm going to try to just get these out as quickly as possible, so bear with me. Not going to be able to get to everybody on every single game, but we will spread out the love and focus on everybody as much as we can. So here we go. Ashton Hagans, really just want to focus on him first of all. Hagans' contributions aren't going to be totally reflected in the box score, but his defensive presence in that game was incredible. I was blown away by his relentless pressure, and I would venture to say that it's probably the most relentless in terms of pressure and advanced in terms of footwork in the Cal era. He's ahead of Wall, he's ahead of Brandon Knight. He may even be a little bit ahead of Ulis in the fact that he's just bigger and he can create more havoc. Once he realized that Bridgewater, the point guard for the Bahamas team, was shaky, my God, he put the pressure on that guy. Really started to kind of gamble, which is what Hagans does when he's bored with his opponent. So I think that that's going to even out a little bit against better competition, so we may even see that later this week. He's still figuring out his spots on offense. He's a pass-first kid, but he has to find that balance between remaining a threat to score and getting guys better looks. He had several good passes that just weren't converted, so take that into account, but he just seemed more comfortable on defense because that's kind of his calling card, what he hangs his hat on, but really like Ashton Hagans. Nick Richards is a fairly prototypical rim-running big. He showed some signs of average to moderately good rim protection. He's got the length and the athletic ability to get to those shots, but he's still kind of putting it together on where to be and how to get there and how to put offensive players in a position so that he can get to those. It's not instinctive for him at this point. He's allowing the offense to dictate him a little too much. Leaves his feet too much also. Still overall looked a little more aggressive around the rim, and I was happy about that, but he got roasted a whole lot, losing sight of where the back line of the defense is. Way overplaying the screener when he needed to be dropping back into center field to make plays on the ball. But decision making is still a major area of growth for Nick on really both sides of the ball. PJ's got the vibe of an experienced college player now. Even when there was really nothing schematically effective happening around him, he was still able to do his single power dribble finish through contact thing. I'm still worried about PJ's ball skills. He needs to polish those. It's going to take some time. Still a little bit worried about his ability to stretch the floor too. He just needs to develop some consistency in that way and is a little unsure of himself creating off the bounce. So those are things that are going to continue to need to develop for him. There's a personality that kind of bubbled up under the action tonight. If it continues, I think that it'd be fair to say that this is a fairly atypical Calipari Kentucky team, and the fact that they're really hunting steals and deflections. For a lot of the night, they pressured full court with Quickly, Quade, and Ashton Hagans. That's a pretty interesting three-guard lineup. They seem like they were this close to putting together multiple big plays, but they couldn't quite put together that perfect string of plays to put in a run that would just absolutely bury the Bahamas team. Throughout the pregame warmups and even in between plays, it was clear that this is a chatty team. They're active. It's going to be interesting to see where the emotional center of this team is as well. Top to bottom, they're going to burn a little hotter than some of the other Calipari teams. They feed off of turnovers. They're sort of like Kirby, the way he would inhale things and get bigger and bigger and then just blow out fire. I think that's kind of the way this team is going to play. Every time you turn the ball over against these guys, which I think is something that teams are going to really have to avoid doing, they're going to just flip that into offense. So I could see them being a big run team. Something also that jumped out to me is the fact that Kentucky has a couple more guys that can get their own offense when plays break down or in late game situations. I thought Tyler Herro's assertiveness without being too assertive or overextending himself was a promising sign. He took a couple my turn shots, but that was when the offense was sort of dragging. He gets great elevation on his shot. People have been comparing him to Rex Chapman because he has sort of that confident gallop in the way that he plays. He carries himself with a lot of confidence, has sort of an edge, but he has that elevation in the mid-range where he can always get that shot. So he's far and away the best shooter on this team. I'm curious to see how much he can broaden his ability to utilize that. He seems like a great guy to target in flare screen actions. I'd like to see Kentucky try that a bit. Reid Travis seemed a little bit in the moment. He was pressing too much. You could tell that he really wanted to get it going, and we saw glimpses of that glass-eating reputation that he's gotten. He was a monster on the defensive backboard. I think he came away with like 14 or 15 rebounds tonight. Could have cashed in on more of his offensive stick-back opportunities, but he just couldn't quite get in rhythm. It's possible that they should put him in position to create his own post-ups, maybe fake a dribble handoff and take his man in that situation and, you know, get to the line. But he also drew doubles a lot lot of the night, didn't particularly handle that well. His arms aren't tremendously long, and he'll probably struggle to score against length at the next level if he gets there, and he's not particularly quick off of his feet, so he's going to have to compensate in some other areas because his hands didn't look fantastic last night. If any one of PJ Washington, EJ Montgomery, or Reid Travis can become semi-reliable from three or in the mid-range, Kentucky's offense is going to have that many more variables for the defense to account for. I loved Keldon Johnson's enthusiasm. It seemed like that was the only thing that he could really keep going throughout the night. Keldon's athletic ability and tenacity really pop. He's just an engaged and passionate defender. He takes it personally. He's almost a cross between like a Marcus Smart and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He also got pitched harder than a venture capitalist at one point though. But he was pressing a little too hard all night as well, not letting the game come to him and just trying to create things that weren't necessarily there. EJ Montgomery looked like a guy who was finding his role. He made a couple good instinctive moves around the rim, but he seemed out of the flow of the game at times. But again, that's understandable. I'd really like to see Kentucky use their bigs on this roster in some horns pick and roll, horns dribble handoffs, because from that distance, I think that those guys can make some one-on-one moves in space. EJ's also an interesting high-low player, and I'd like to see that. All three of these guys are fairly skilled, but I think that EJ is by far the most instinctive and fluid. There's a better economy of motion and energy in the release on his shot. You can see that he sort of goes straight up and straight back down into the same spot. Overall, I think the sum of the parts is better than the individual pieces in terms of NBA talent, but interested to see how the rest of these games go. So I'm going to try to focus on some of the guys that I didn't get to focus on as much in this video when Kentucky plays tonight again, and I'll get back with you guys soon. Later. Hey folks, I appreciate you watching, and if you like this video, click the like button and be sure to subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at @JKyleMann. Say hey.